You know what used to trip me up the most as a multi-prep teacher? Thinking I had to start from scratch every single time I planned for a new class. Like my robotics class needed one kind of lesson and my engineering class needed a completely different one. But let me tell you what changed everything for me. Finding just one solid routine that could stretch across subjects. For me, that was the gallery walk. And today I want to show you how you can take one go-to strategy and use it in 3 totally different classes, and why that tiny shift might just save your sanity.
Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher.
So, confession time. I didn't even learn about the gallery walk until I was at least 6 years into teaching. I was at a training for problem-based learning, and part of the workshop was sharing our ideas on posters and walking around giving each other feedback. It worked so well that I immediately started using it in class. Mainly in my engineering classes when they were brainstorming. So first it was just for feedback, but eventually it became my go-to structure for research and peer teaching. And the best part, my students were doing the heavy lifting. They were creating posters, reviewing each other's work, and generating ideas. I stopped making anchor charts because they were making them for me. Yes, they weren't always beautiful, but I wasn't having to do the work. And not only that, it was helping solidify their learning by them being the ones creating those. Here's what this looked like across 3 of my actual classes. In Intro to Engineering Design, students worked in groups to redesign backpacks. They sketched out their ideas, labeled the features, and created a poster of them on those big white sticky note posters. Then they rotated around giving each other feedback, and they were using post-it notes, and so they were writing I like, I wonder on everyone's poster throughout the class. In robotics, I assigned each group a sensor type. So this is a little bit different because it wasn't their own unique ideas. They then needed to research it, created a mini poster, so think anchor charts, with required info. So I gave them a list of 5 different things they needed to have on there so that students were learning what they needed to about the sensor. And then we did a gallery walk. Their classmates used it to take notes on all the sensor types before we would start into our projects and deciding which sensors they wanted to use. In programming, I kept it even simpler. Groups created a flowchart to solve a basic problem or wrote a short code snippet. The rest of the class walked around and gave feedback on logic, readability, and possible optimizations. Same strategy, 3 very different classes. One clear brain saver for me. And here's the thing. When you reuse routines like this, you don't just save time planning, you save mental energy. The decision fatigue drops way down. For example, I was on a block schedule, so I started doing gallery walk every Monday across all my classes. That gave me one less thing to think about. I had my posters and markers prepped on Friday, and then Monday ran like clockwork. And my students, they didn't get bored. This is a huge myth, because for them, it only happened once every 2 weeks. Let me repeat that. Just because something's predictable doesn't mean it's boring. In fact, routines are where students feel safe, confident, and they're clear on expectations. My husband does this too. Every Monday, he lectures the full period, which is really difficult for welding students who are itching to be in the shop. But he has created a routine that is predictable, and they know that if they can get through that Monday, that the rest of the 2 weeks that they're in his class, they can be in the shop. His students take notes, then they turn those notes into quiz questions. They pair up, swap, build a quiz, and that's it. every single Monday. And it works. Why? Because they know what's expected. They get through Monday and then they have the shop time. The rest of those weeks, it's consistent and it's effective. I want to say this clearly. Reusing a routine like this isn't lazy. It's smart. It's strategic. And if you can align it across classes, even once a week, you'll buy back so much time and headspace. We give elementary teachers permission to be predictable. Why not give ourselves that same grace? So here's your next step. Grab the free Planning Period Reset Toolkit and use it to map out one routine, just one, that you can rinse and reuse across your classes this week. Now, before you go choosing your routine, here's something I wish someone would have told me. Not all routines are equal. A gallery walk, powerful, but it takes setup, group coordination, and physical space. Something like Think Pair Share or even Think Write Pair Share, that's plug and play. You can use it every day in any subject without extra prep. So as you think about what you can rinse and reuse this year, give yourself permission to choose routines based on what you have the capacity for, not just what sounds engaging. Big energy routines belong in your week, but they don't need to be your default. You don't need 5 different lesson formats. You just need one that works. Until next week.